chosen one. This is a reward for your restraint. God is proud of you. This is not just another moment in your life. It is a divinely selected season of reward. Everything you held back, everything you didn't say, everything you chose not to do. Heaven saw it all. God saw when you could have reacted, when you could have spoken out, when you could have moved forward in your own strength. But you didn't. You waited, you held your peace. You trusted the voice of God more than the noise of the world. And now that divine restraint is being honored in the highest spiritual realm, you didn't miss out. You were being measured for your crown. There is a reason this video found you today, chosen one. Listen closely. This message is meant to be felt deep within your spirit. Watch this video until the very end and write your warmest wishes, and 99 in the comments. This isn't just interaction, it's intention. It's how we declare that our wishes are on their way to becoming reality, that our dreams are now charged with the power of the universe. This is your moment to participate in the energy of fulfillment and spiritual alignment. Now chosen, one like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. And let's begin. You didn't retaliate though, you were provoked. You didn't respond though you were misjudged. You didn't return harm for harm. Though the pain ran deep, that was not weakness, it was sacred strength. That was not avoidance, it was divine discipline. You silenced yourself in a world that constantly rewards the loud, and for that God is about to speak loudly on your behalf. Your reward is not just coming, it's already set in motion. This is not something you begged for, it is something you earned in silence. You walked away from battles you could have won. You released people you loved because they no longer aligned with your peace. You turned the other cheek not out of fear, but because you knew vengeance was never yours to carry. And while the world mocked your patience, heaven recorded every moment of it. You were not forgotten. You were being fashioned into someone worthy of extraordinary reward. This is the time where your quiet strength becomes the loudest proof of your divine favor. Those who laughed at your patience will soon witness your promotion. They will see your elevation and wonder how it happened so swiftly, but it wasn't swift. It was sacred. God has a way of compressing time when the heart is obedient. You were being built for something massive. And the restraint you showed was the final qualification for it. You could have chosen instant satisfaction, but instead you chose legacy. You could have acted out, but you chose alignment. You could have chased after what you lost, but you stood still and trusted that if it was truly meant for you, it would never leave. That kind of trust shakes the heavens. That kind of surrender does not go unrewarded. Chosen one, this is your harvest. You watered the ground with tears, but now the roots are producing the kind of fruit that can't be stolen. You didn't just restrain your reactions, you restrained your movements. You stayed when you wanted to run. You prayed when you wanted to act. You gave when you were in lack. You poured into others when your own cup was nearly empty. But look around, things are shifting. You're about to be poured into unexpectedly and abundantly. You're about to experience what it feels like to be carried by favor rather than your own effort. This is God responding to your restraint. Your silence was your sacrifice, your self-control was your seed. And now you're stepping into a season where what's being returned to you doesn't match what you lost. It exceeds it. It was never about equal exchange. It was about divine repayment. You are not getting what you gave. You are receiving more than what you imagined. That's what happens when God is the one keeping record. Man may forget, but heaven never misses a single act of obedience. Your destiny is not delayed. It's being delivered, and when it arrives, it will come with peace, power, and purpose. You won't have to beg. You won't have to fight. You won't have to prove yourself. Your reward will be your proof. Your life will testify that discipline is never wasted. It is divinely multiplied you said to temptation. Every yes you gave to alignment, every weight you accepted with grace. It was all building to this divine moment, chosen one. Your patience did something powerful in the spirit. It shifted the direction of your story. It created divine openings. It created opportunities that are now chasing you down. Doors are opening, not because you knocked, but because you obeyed. What's coming is not your backup plan. It's the best case scenario. It's God's version of what you were hoping for, and His version is always better than yours. This is why it felt hard to hold back. This is why it seemed like no one understood the battle inside your mind, because what you were doing wasn't natural, it was supernatural. Your restraint was not just a decision, it was a declaration. You declared you trusted God more than yourself. You declared that you wanted the promise more than the shortcut. And now that declaration is echoing into your reward. Let them wonder how you stayed calm. Let them guess why you didn't respond. Let them be confused about why you didn't lose control, because what they don't know is that your self-control was your weapon, and it won the war. God saw the invisible choices. He measured the moments no one else noticed, and He smiled. Yes, chosen one. God smiled at your silence. He smiled when you walked away. He smiled when you took the high road because He knew exactly what it cost you. And now He's paying you back with favor, with increase, with clarity. You are now aligned with divine recompense. This reward is not about luck. It's about law, spiritual law. You swede restraint, and you're about to reap restoration. You gave control to God, and now He's giving dominion back to you. You waited your turn, and now the throne is being moved in your direction. Not because you forced it, but because you were faithful. You are not behind, you are not forgotten. You are not ignored. You are exactly where heaven needs you to be, because you passed the test that most people failed, the test of restraint. You didn't just survive the storm, you subdued it. You didn't just go through the trial, you graduated from it. And now heaven is responding accordingly. Your story is about to shift in a way that only God could orchestrate. Let the world be stunned by your breakthrough. Let them question how it happened. Let them wonder where it came from. Because the truth is, it came from obedience. It came from trust. It came from quiet strength. And God is proud, deeply proud, eternally proud. He is rewarding you in public for what you restrained in private. Chosen one, something sacred was born in you. During the moments you didn't respond, a holy refinement took place. You were purified, not in applause, but in silence. You became stronger, not in comfort, but in control. That self-restraint you practiced again and again was not weakness. It was the power of heaven being formed in you. Every time you chose silence over shouting, wisdom over reaction, surrender over control, you stepped deeper into alignment with your divine destiny. Restraint is one of the highest forms of strength, and it is the least understood by the world. They don't celebrate it, they don't recognize it, but heaven does. You weren't holding back because you were afraid you were holding back, because you knew what was on the line, you knew what was sacred. You knew that there was something inside you that was more valuable than momentary satisfaction. You weren't losing opportunities. You were building a fortress around your favor. There are blessings that are delayed not because you did something wrong, but because God was waiting for you to pass the deeper test, the test of maturity, the test of composure, the test of trust. And now that you've passed it, the gates are opening. You've proven you're ready. You've proven that your spirit is stable enough to carry what others would fumble. You've proven that your soul is anchored in something deeper than applause, validation, or revenge. That is why the reward will be great. When you didn't seek revenge, heaven assigned restoration when you didn't seek attention. Heaven marked you for elevation. You chose to take your pain to God. instead of people. And now God is turning your pain into purpose. He is turning your quiet into confirmation. He is turning your tears into territory. The world may not understand your rise, but your spirit already knows what time it is. This is your reward season. You will no longer have to defend your value. Your life will speak it. Your actions already whispered it, and now the results will shout it. This is not about proving people wrong. It's about proving God right. He knew you were ready. He knew you were trustworthy. He knew you wouldn't ruin what he planned for you, and so now he's releasing it. Slowly, steadily, powerfully, the reward is in motion. Your dignity was the seed, your boundaries were the roots, and your harvest is now breaking ground. Everything you restrained is now being released as favor. Everything you didn't say is now being said by your results. Everything you didn't force is now unfolding. Naturally, this is God's way. He exalts the humble. He rewards the disciplined. He honors the quiet warriors, the ones who fight their flesh daily and still choose peace. Chosen one, your soul was built for impact, not just success. That's why your journey was not a sprint. It was a spiritual sculpting. And now your structure is ready to carry greatness. The restraint refined you. It didn't restrict you, it upgraded you. You are now someone who can be trusted with power because you learned how to hold your tongue. You learned how to govern your emotions. You learned how to lead without lashing out. These are the traits of the rarest kind of leader. And while others were making noise, you were building legacy while they were chasing platforms. You were building character while they were performing for attention. You were anchoring yourself in purpose, and now the tables are turning quietly, swiftly, righteously. This isn't karma, it's kingdom order. This isn't chance, it's chosen strategy. God designed your reward for this exact moment in time. You never needed to explain yourself. Heaven understood the silence. Every restraint was like a note in the song of your purpose, and now that melody is playing loudly through your life, every closed mouth built a louder testimony. Every step back created divine room for God to step in, and when he steps in, nothing can stop what he sets in motion. You didn't delay the blessing, you protected it. It takes a different kind of power to pause. It takes spiritual intelligence to wait. It takes supernatural confidence to stay silent when your flesh wants to scream. And you chosen one mastered that art. That's why your reward will be different. That's why your promotion will seem effortless. You already did the hard part, it just wasn't visible. You fought invisible battles and made invisible victories, and now it's time for visible rewards. This is not just your winning season, this is your revelation season. People will finally see the real you, not the version they judged, not the version they misunderstood, but the version God built, the version that grew in silence, the version that chose sacred over sensational, the version that walked away to protect peace. That version is unstoppable. Every storm you sat through quietly is now going to serve as the backdrop to your breakthrough. Every time you chose peace over pettiness, a divine checkmark was placed on your destiny, and now the angels are moving on your behalf. The heavens are aligned, the portals are open, and the energy you're about to walk into will feel like restoration. But it's actually the beginning of your reign. No more second-guessing yourself. No more doubting if the wait was worth it. It was no more wondering if you missed out. You didn't. No more questioning if you should have acted differently. You shouldn't have. You did exactly what needed to be done. You restrained yourself. You held the line. You carried your cross in silence. And now God is raising you up in front of everyone who thought your silence was weakness. This is divine justice. This is soul reward. This is the turnaround moment the page is turning. And your new chapter begins not with noise, but with undeniable favor. You will walk into rooms and not have to say a word. Your spirit will speak. Your reward will do the talking, and your presence will carry the weight of everything you restrained. That's divine recompense, that's spiritual authority. That's what happens when you trust God more than you trust reaction. Chosen one, your restraint built a bridge to your next season. Every moment you held back became a stepping stone to something more significant. You may not have seen the impact immediately, but the truth is, heaven was counting it all. It was never wasted. The delay wasn't denial. It was documentation. The spiritual realm was keeping records, and now the reward phase has begun. This reward isn't just material, it's multidimensional. Yes, there are physical blessings forming, but more than that, there's a peace being released into your atmosphere that cannot be disturbed. A clarity is coming that will feel like sunlight after years of fog. You will know where to go, when to move, and what to say. That's the power of alignment. When you choose restraint, you gain access to divine clarity. You are no longer guessing. You're guided. You're entering rooms you didn't knock on. You're receiving calls you didn't chase. Why? Because when you chose peace over performance, God chose to magnify your name in private circles. When you resisted the need to prove yourself, He proved you when you sat in silence. He began speaking about you in places your feet hadn't yet touched. That's how divine positioning works. He moves you while you're still. You don't have to announce anything. Your results will arrive before your words. You don't need to defend anything. The outcomes will protect your name. You don't even need to rush into anything. The opportunities are already being sent in your direction. Tailor-made for the new version of you. The version that trusted the process. The version that learned to lead without needing to be seen. The version that became a spiritual fortress. This reward will stretch beyond your own life. It will pour into those connected to you. Your restraint didn't just shield your soul, it created a generational blessing. You broke patterns by not reacting the way others did. You shattered cycles by choosing stillness over chaos. You reset a spiritual timeline, and now your entire bloodline is going to feel the ripple effect of that one choice to stay calm, stay faithful, stay aligned. Don't underestimate how powerful your silence was in a world where everyone feels entitled to a reaction. You surrendered yours, that is divine discipline. And now you're being trusted with influence that's rooted in integrity. You're being positioned to lead, not because you fought for it, but because you proved you could handle it. And the most powerful part, you did it when no one was watching. They didn't see your tears. They didn't hear the battles inside your mind. They didn't witness the moments where your hands trembled because your spirit was wearing with your flesh. But God saw it all. And now He's saying, well done. That's not just a reward. It's a divine validation. You don't have to prove your value anymore. It's already been confirmed in heaven. The door opening next is not an average door. It's the kind that only opens for people who paid the price in silence, and you paid it fully. You didn't look for shortcuts. You didn't manipulate outcomes. You didn't try to force your season. You stayed planted even when the soil felt dry, and now the rain is coming, not to drown you, but to grow you. The storm was not your enemy. It was your irrigation system chosen. One, there is a supernatural weight on your name. You carry more than others, not because you're burdened, but because you're trusted. You have become a divine carrier of grace, peace, and influence. And that kind of trust doesn't come from charisma. It comes from character. It comes from restraint. That's why you're being launched into new levels without needing to advertise it. This is not just a reward, it's a revelation. God is revealing your true capacity to the world. He is putting you in places where your name will be spoken with honor, where your presence will be respected, where your spirit will be recognized. You won't have to say, I've changed. They will feel the change in your energy. They will see the difference in your glow, because real elevation doesn't need explanation. You're not who you used to be. And that's exactly why this reward fits you. Now, had it come earlier, you may have mishandled it. Had it come in the wrong season, it may have broken you. But now you're fortified. Now you're spiritually mature. Now you understand that what's for you doesn't need to be chased. It needs to be welcomed, and you're ready to receive it fully and fearlessly. Restraint built your foundation, faithfulness formed your future, and now favor is flooding in. You held the line when it wasn't popular. You stayed on course when others detoured. You believed in what you couldn't yet see. And because of that, what was once invisible is about to be undeniable. They'll say you came out of nowhere, but you'll know you came out of obedience. This is why you didn't collapse. This is why you couldn't give up, no matter how tired you felt. There was too much assigned to your surrender. There was too much treasure tied to your trust. And now everything that was delayed is rushing toward you like a flood. But this time you won't feel overwhelmed. You'll feel ordained. Because this isn't chaos. It's confirmation. Your journey didn't disqualify you. It prepared you. It refined you. It filtered out the noise and left only purpose. And now that purpose is being activated like never before. You won't need to fight for visibility. The light will find you. You won't have to plead for acceptance. You've already been chosen, and no one can unchoose what God has confirmed. So let the reward speak. Let your life shine. Let your soul rise. You've waited long enough. You've been humble long enough. You've endured quietly long enough. It's time for the fruit to match the faith. It's time for the evidence to match the endurance. It's time for the honor to match the humility. And this time you'll receive it all without guilt, because you earned it in silence. Chosen one, the moment you stopped trying to control everything. Everything started to align. You stopped speaking just to defend yourself. You stopped running just to catch what wasn't meant for you. And in that stillness, something shifted in the spirit. What you couldn't fix with your words, heaven began to heal with its power. That's why this reward feels so weighty, because it's not just about what's being added to your life. It's about what's being restored inside of you. Restoration is a holy kind of reward. It doesn't just return what was lost. It renews your soul. It builds you from the inside out. It places peace in the places where trauma used to live. And you chosen one have stepped into a season where your spirit will finally exhale. You've been carrying silent burdens for too long. You've cried prayers that didn't have words, but now you're entering the season where the answers are arriving. Loud, undeniable, and beautifully overwhelming. There were moments when you doubted your restraint. Moments when you looked back and wondered if you made a mistake by not reacting. But look around you. Now, the ground is shifting. The air is changing. The blessings are forming. You were never being passive. You were being protected. You were never losing ground. You were being rooted, and now that your roots are strong, the fruit is about to multiply. People think strength is loud, but, the truth. Real strength is calm. Real power doesn't need to prove itself. And because you chose stillness in the face of storms, because you stayed rooted when the wind tried to shake you, God is placing something in your life that no wind can ever move again. This next reward isn't temporary, it's anchored, it isn't fragile, it's fortified, it isn't ordinary, it's supernatural. You sacrificed your comfort to protect your character. You sacrificed your pride to preserve your peace. You let people go who didn't understand your journey. And though it hurt, you still chose purpose. That kind of sacrifice never goes unnoticed. In fact, it creates a spiritual echo, a sound that reaches heaven, and the response to that echo is now descending upon your life in the form of undeniable favor. You're not here by accident. You didn't survive all that. Just to blend in, your story was designed to carry weight. Your voice was formed to speak to souls. not just ears and your silence. The restraint you've shown has been shaping your destiny. Now that shape is becoming visible, the pieces are coming together. What once looked like loss is now looking like legacy. There is a reward for every "no" you whispered when your heart wanted to scream. Yes, there is a reward for every time you chose to stay home, stay grounded, stay prayed up. There is a reward for every time you chose to protect your peace, instead of chasing popularity. And that reward is spiritual authority. You now walk with an energy that speaks louder than words. People feel your presence before you enter the room. They don't know why they're drawn to you, but you do. You carry the residue of divine refinement. You carry the fragrance of obedience, and that cannot be faked, that cannot be bought, that can only be formed in the fire of restraint, that can only be birthed in the silence of surrender. You're not just receiving a blessing, you are becoming a blessing. You're not just being rewarded with things, you're being trusted with influence. And the reason you're ready for it is because you've been through the fire without complaining. You've walked through seasons of lack and still found ways to give. You've had every reason to quit, but you stayed, and now your staying is speaking louder than anything you could have said. Don't be surprised when the favor starts flowing in from unexpected places. Don't question it. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. This is your time. This is your confirmation. This is your divine yes. God is not just proud of what you did. He's proud of what you didn't do. The words, you didn't say, the revenge, you didn't seek, the paths you didn't force. That kind of discipline deserves divine celebration. Chosen one, heaven is throwing a celebration in your honor. The angels watched you grow quietly. They saw the private tears. They witnessed the inner strength. And now they're surrounding your name with light. That's why new doors are opening. That's why old doors are closing with peace. You don't have to go back to anything that tried to break you. You're beyond that. Now you're walking in elevation. You didn't just hold back your words. You held your posture. You didn't just restrain your reactions. You restrained your impulses. And that restraint transformed you. It taught you how to lead with peace. It taught you how to respond with grace. It taught you how to recognize what's sacred. Now, you're not just chasing purpose, you've become one with it. This reward will speak for generations. It will mark your life as a turning point. Not just for you, but for those coming after you. You're breaking chains that they'll never have to carry. You're creating peace they'll inherit without knowing the battle it cost. And that's what makes you chosen. Not just that, you're receiving the reward, but that you earned it with courage, silence, and soul. Let the heavens rejoice over your name. Let the earth respond to your alignment. Let your reward locate you, overtake you, transform you. You were never behind. You were being built. You were never stuck. You were being stretched. And now it's time to rise, effortlessly, powerfully, and purposefully chosen one. There's something sacred about the way you held yourself together in moments meant to break you. There's something heaven approved about the way you walked through chaos with your head high and your mouth closed. It wasn't just maturity, it was mastery. You mastered yourself. You mastered your emotions. You mastered your response. And now everything around you is being commanded to respond in your favor. The universe is aligning with your frequency. Your silence shifted the atmosphere. The things you could not explain with words are now being explained with results. It's not just that you're being rewarded, it's that you've been redefined. You are not the same person who once felt the need to explain every move. Now you move with the confidence of someone who knows they're already validated. That's what divine restraint creates. It forms a soul that can't be shaken. And as this reward unfolds, it won't just be a blessing. It will be a testimony, a living, breathing declaration that yes, you waited. Yes, you withheld. Yes, you stayed silent, but no, you didn't lose. No, you weren't overlooked. No, you weren't forgotten. You were set apart. You were being polished. You are being preserved for something so holy it couldn't be delivered while you were still figuring out who you were now that delivery is arriving. Not just one-time blessings, but waves of favor. You'll look up and realize that what you were waiting for has arrived in a better form than you imagined. You'll step into environments that match your energy. You'll connect with people who speak your language. Peace, wisdom, excellence, grace. You'll finally feel like you're in the right place, doing the right thing at the right time. That's what the reward feels like. This isn't random, it's divine response. You're about to see what it means when heaven says, well done. Not just through words, but through circumstances, through opportunities, through access, through abundance. God is rewarding you in dimensions. You're being restored in places no one could see. You're being replenished in areas you didn't know were empty. That's how deep divine recompense goes. It doesn't just give you more, it gives you back what you lost and didn't even speak of the people who doubted your strength are about to see your elevation. And the beautiful part, you won't need to say a thing. Your new environment will reflect your new energy. The tables are turning in your favor, not because you flipped them, but because you outlasted the test. You outgrew the drama. You evolved beyond the noise. You matured into someone that favor feels safe resting on. That's the thing about divine reward. It doesn't land on chaos. It settles on clarity and your restraint. Created the kind of clarity that heaven looks for. That's why you're being noticed. Now, that's why you're being selected. Your self-discipline sent a signal. Your quiet strength sent a message. You proved that you were ready, not by force, but by faith. And heaven never forgets faith. You didn't rush the process, and now the process is rushing you into overflow. You didn't chase after things that looked shiny. You waited for what was pure. You didn't force your story to unfold. You let it be written by a higher hand. And now that author is about to reveal the next chapter, it will feel like a dream, but it will be real. You'll live it with the kind of peace that only comes from knowing you earned it the right way. You didn't take shortcuts, and now you're arriving with a deeper level of authority. You didn't burn bridges, you let them fall naturally, and now you're walking across bridges you didn't even build. Doors are opening without your hand on the handle. Invitations are arriving without you knocking. That's the reward of restraint it brings you. What you couldn't have chased fast enough. It delivers what you waited for long enough. The difference between you and those who forced their breakthrough is that yours will last. Theirs came through noise. Yours comes through trust. Theirs arrived through drama. Yours arrives through destiny.